Welcome back to Cashin' In with Carville here. The last one of 2021, Zach Ewing along with James Carville. And we're picking college football bowl week, a couple of NFL games, a big week. James, starting Happy New Year, and I hope the holidays are going well for you.
Well, Happy New Year to you, and they're going well. This goddamn virus is driving everybody nuts, which people is, it's just the old line. We may be done with it, but it's not done with us.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
Before we get into some of the bowl picks, and we'll start with the college football playoff semifinals, and when we're recording this, South Carolina and Tennessee are later to play today on Thursday. But the SEC 0-4, 1-3 against the spread. For years, the SEC has sort of feasted on these bowl games, but it's not happening this year. Do you read anything into that so far? Is it just the bottom teams? What do you make of that?
You never know what strength these teams are playing. They're really top players that often will opt out. And they have viruses, and I don't know how many people South Carolina, Tennessee has out. I mean, honestly, picking any kind of a game now, football game or basketball game, is just really a crapshoot. Unless you are a sophisticated person, who looks at data every day. We don't know who's playing in these games.
Makes it difficult.
I mean, in NBA games, they got G League teams that are playing basketball. I mean, if you watch that Saints game, the Saints Miami game, might have been one of the worst NFL, and not just because I'm a Saints fan, and not just because we lost. It just was not a very good football game. I mean, it just wasn't. And this is being repeated everywhere, and I would not read a whole lot into this bowl season. I really wouldn't. And in so many teams that are there just don't want to play. Florida being, outstanding. I remember watching it. Their team didn't want to play. And then I read an article, I guess somewhere this morning, maybe it was on an Athletic, about just how they didn't want to play. And what I try to do when I pick these bowl games is figure who's really excited about playing the game. And I generally go that way as opposed to who I think is the best team, because I think these matchups are out of kilter. But that's just my opinion.
Now, we've said it all year. I mean, to pick bowl games, you almost have to be an amateur psychologist, and now you almost have to be an amateur virologist too. I mean, it's like you had this other element. So if there are any that are going to be normal because the teams are going to do their darndest to put their best product on the field, it's these college football playoff games. Because there is something on the line.
And they obviously have every incentive in the world to play. They have every incentive in the world to keep their players safe and isolated for the game. The players are more likely to go along with it because, there's really a chance for them to make history here. And I do think that's a little bit different breed, but boy, the one thing that is even these, crappy little bowls are drawing huge television audiences.
That's right.
I mean, college football is in now.
and that's why they keep playing them.
Yeah, maybe it's, because a lot of people are reacting to the virus. Maybe they're staying home and watching more football. I have no idea, but the minor bowls are racking in some pretty big audiences. One minor bowl beat an NBA game like a Warriors and the Celtics or some game like that. I mean, it was just a testament to the strength of these minor bowls.
And they'll keep playing them.
What the hell happened to LSU's basketball team last night? I had a social game. Look, the score was 18-1. I went,
18-1. They got back in the game, but didn't. In fact, let's take that opportunity and talk a little basketball, because LSU playing well. And the Pelicans have had a couple of their more exciting games of the year the last week.
They're 10-5, I think, in their last 15 games.
Herb Jones looks like he's been the steal of the draft.
Yeah, right.
So, after football season's over, Louisiana doesn't have to hibernate like it usually does. There's some good basketball and baseball to be played.
Oh, we're going to Omaha.
And of course they'll always wake up for college baseball, but that's
right. But this coach they got is.
That is for sure. And we'll talk plenty of that as we get into the spring. For now, let's focus in on the college football playoff. The Cotton Bowl is first. It's Friday afternoon, New Year's Eve. Cincinnati finally breaks through as the group of 5 team. They're 13.5-point dogs against Alabama. Interesting thing about this spread, it has stayed on that number almost from the word go. It has not moved from 13.5. So do you take Alabama and lay those points, or are you going with the dog?
Dog.
Is that just too many points? Is that
It's that. And you know, when I picked the NCAA basketball tournament, you kind of figure one conference is going to be a little hotter than the others, and you try to figure which one it is. SEC is not that hot this year. All right. And 13.5 points is you win a football game by 13 points, you're winning pretty good. It's just a lot of points lying around on the table.
That's right. That's right. And the other college football playoff semifinal, the Orange Bowl, Friday night. Another SEC team, Georgia, another SEC team favored. They're minus 7.5 against Michigan, which is not a traditional underdog by any stretch, but they are new blood in the CFP. Where do you go here?
Dog.
Going with the dog again.
I mean, Ohio State is good. And Michigan beat the snot out of them. In Georgia, I know they were great. They didn't look that good against Alabama. I mean, they really didn't. And Alabama's a team that we should have beat. Auburn should have beat them. I don't think this. Look, somebody's going to see me a week from now and say, "You idiot!" All right, but it just doesn't strike me as like one of these, like last year's Alabama team.
Yeah,
but
they don't.
We'll see. And maybe just because we played them so close, I have, God, if you can't beat this.
And by the way, LSU's bowl game coming up Tuesday against K-State in Houston, and K-State favored by 3.5 in that game. But again, it's one of those things, and we'll talk about a couple more here, where you have to judge who's playing and what the motivations are.
And now can Nussmeier play and lose? I just saw that in the paper this morning. All right, I mean, it's fun. I'll pick anything. I'll pick my nose if you want me to, but it's really, I can't emphasize enough what a crapshoot all of this is in the age of the corona. All right.
I think you just stumbled on a new catchphrase for bet.NOLA.com. We'll pick our noses if you want us to, because we'll make picks on anything.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if the marketing team will like that. I'll have to run it by them. Saturday, traditional New Year's Day games, the Rose Bowl. Speaking of Ohio State, this line's moved down. I mean, it opened up around a touchdown. Ohio State's had a bunch of opt-outs. Chris Olave, their star receiver, is one of them. They're down to 4.5-point favorites. The dog was a real popular pick early. Do you still go with Utah plus the 4.5, or are you going Ohio State?
Utah. I mean, can you imagine how excited they are and their fan base is? I mean, Utah in the Rose Bowl. I mean, we're supposed to watch Southern Cal. All right, or something like that, UCLA, the Washington Husky, Oregon. This is Utah. Ohio State is pissed. They lost to Michigan. They're out of it. They're not impressed by being in the Rose Bowl. Utah is. That this is a make it for their reputation, their program, their everything. And you can imagine how Utah feels disrespected in the Pac-12. And you can imagine how much those coaches are emphasizing that.
Sometimes it's as simple as that motivation.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, all of these games, I'll just tell you what my philosophy is go with the team that you think wants it the most. Not necessarily the team that's best on paper, because you don't know, they don't play it on paper. And by the way, they leave a lot of paper at home. We will pick one more college game, an extra college game this week, the Sugar Bowl, live from New Orleans Saturday night. Probably a couple teams who both want to be there, at least if you look at it. Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, Baylor, Dave Aranda. You couldn't find two more opposite coaches, but it should be a good game. Ole Miss is minus 1.5. It should be a good game, and based on what I see in the French Quarter and just the general feeling, I think Ole Miss is more into this. I mean, their program has had a, tough, recently had a kind of tough go, and they were good this year. And, being in the Sugar Bowl means a lot to Ole Miss. I mean, I can't stand the son of a bitches, to tell you the truth. But having said that, When I was growing up, the Ole Miss game was 10 times bigger than the Alabama game. I mean, LSU Ole Miss was that, to my generation of LSU fans, that's the biggest game of the year.
Sure.
Yeah, a long time ago it was Tulane, and that kind of faded. It was Ole Miss. Now, of course, it's Alabama's.
So just for the record, that's a grudging Ole Miss pick of -1.5.
I can't stand them, but you have to have a guiding philosophy, and my guiding philosophy in this is, who do I think is more excited about the game and who really wants to be here? Because I think that gives you an edge. And based on nothing but observing fans in the French Quarter, I'm going with Ole Miss. It's
right.
not very scientific. I'd take all of this with a
Don't run to the bank with that one.
Right.
Before we go, a brief talk about the NFL. After they clear out the dome Saturday night for the Sugar Bowl, the Saints play their home finale there Sunday afternoon against the Panthers. Pretty much a must win. There's some scenarios where they're still alive with a loss, but I mean, you got to figure at this point, backs against the wall. They do get people back. It's we've talked about it all year. A lot of adversity for this team. It's kind of put up or shut up time now.
I think they're going to win. I mean, that thing against Miami had, first of all, they got a really good defense, and we had no offense. We had no people. We had no anything. And I'm just a big Sean Payton believer. I mean, so many times he's proven me right so many more times than he's proven me wrong. And I don't know. I don't necessarily pick them, but I like them this weekend.
All right. And the two games we will pick in the NFL, good one in the AFC. The Bengals, red hot. Joe Burrow, 525 yards last week, hosting the Kansas City Chiefs, who are also red hot. And it's the Chiefs -5 here.
I too many times I pick against Joe Burrow. I'm not going to do it this time. And by the way, that defensive coach we got from the Chiefs to LSU, this might be like the single best assistant of any kind, any stripe in the country. If you saw what the Honey Badger, who other than Joe Burrow, is the best player to ever play at LSU, ever, Billy Cannon included. I mean, that guy he's an unbelievable football player, and he was just effusive in his praise of the new LSU coach.
That guy's an expert, if anybody. That you're talking about Matt House, who's coming down to LSU from the Chiefs. So we're taking the Bengals there, and then the last one we'll pick Cardinals at Cowboys. Cowboys -5.5 points at home.
The Cowboys -5.5
at home. Yep.
That's one of those lines where they're begging you to Cowboys 5.5. So we're going to go with the dog.
All right. We'll go with a lot of dogs barking this week for James Carville. I think the only one you didn't was Ole Miss -1.5. So we wish you a happy new year. We'll see you next week for the end of the NFL season. We'll talk some college football national championship as well. And we hope you have a good one.
Well, thank you so much. Enjoyed it, and stay safe and do as I do. Sit in front of the TV and get your popcorn, and we're going to have some good these games. These college football playoff games are going to be some good games. I can't wait for them.
All right. Cashing in with Carville. Thank you, James.
You bet.